With its pristine views, overwhelming natural beauty, and world-class ski resorts, Vancouver, Canada has become known as a one-of-a-kind destination. And now that reputation has extended into college sports.
Simon Fraser University is a university that is never afraid to take chances, to break new ground.
Living up to its namesake, the explorer Simon Fraser, SFU is charting new territory, becoming the first school outside the United States to be admitted into the NCAA.
It was a very exciting move for me. You're creating history day in and day out, every time I come into the office, every time I practice.
Their men's basketball coach says the nod from the NCAA is what drew him to Simon Fraser. Up until that point, he'd spent most of his career coaching in the United States, even though he's Canadian and grew up right here in British Columbia.
There's some competitive leagues in Canada, but nothing is equivalent to the U.S. and their collegiate programs athletically.
That's how you get better, is by competing against the best. And I think that the NCAA definitely brings the best out in those athletes.
This run that we had in the NCAA in the national tournament, there's no easy games. Every game is an absolute battle.
I knew that SFU was going to NCAA, and that's obviously the highest standard of soccer you can play at within North America in college. I've had a few of my kids come up to me at training and be like, oh, I saw you on TV, or I saw you in the paper all the time. They bring me articles and stuff like that, so that they can say, you know what, soccer is growing here. Soccer is an impact here on the province, on the country. Hockey's not the only option.
We get kids that come to our games now. They can see a competition level that it's in their grasp. So I think moving forward, you're going to see some of the youth get back into basketball where, they haven't in the past.
While gaining NCAA membership has been an exciting time for the SFU community, it's also come with its share of challenges, including adjusting to a whole new set of rules. For instance, Canadian leagues allow student athletes to play 5 years in college, no redshirting required. So when Simon Fraser switched over to the NCAA, the student athletes who had already played 4 years and maxed out their eligibility had to be released from their teams. The school's football roster lost almost 60 players. Their men's basketball team was left with 4. Another adjustment some had to make was how they approached the game itself.
Our first year, we were really bad at rebounding, and we weren't used to being shoved out of the way.
Americans, I think, are of a little bit more competitive nature, and it's forced our kids to become more competitive in every aspect of the game.
They've also had to adapt their road game routines. Every single one is across the border.
Passports are a big one. We're not getting past the border without them, so our coach makes sure that we give him all of our passports before we even leave for the trip.
Simon Fraser may only be about a half-hour's drive from the U.S.-Canadian border, but joining the NCAA is having an impact on student athletes around the world. Take, for instance, number 30. He's here all the way from Australia.
There's no amateur program like the NCAA has. It's more like recreational or just social sports that are played in Australia in the university level.
He says in Australia, playing basketball in the NCAA is what kids dream about. Simon Fraser's new membership, a new NCAA team, opened up a spot for him to live that dream, play competitive basketball, and get a college education. If you didn't come here, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be back home just working, normal 9 to 5 job, unfortunately. So I'm blessed with this opportunity.
We're a fantastic academic institution. Maclean's has us #1 in the country. We're probably in the top 30 in the world.
To pioneer its international reach, the NCAA chose Division II, finding life in the balance at Simon Fraser University.
You combine great academics with the opportunity to compete against great institutions, and it's a formula for winning.